Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to talk about some potential slowness that you might see in test or manual executions. You might also see a delay in extension updates taking effect. So the question is, why is this happening? So an example of what you might see is you issue a request for a test execution, and it takes a very long time for it to fire. You might issue a manual execution request, and it's several minutes or possibly even longer before you actually see it appear in process reporting. So why is that? What is causing this delay? So the first thing to understand is that commands that you send from the UI, so from Atom management, process reporting, that sort of thing, any commands that you actually send, these are actually being made on the platform. It's not a direct command to your Atom. So these requests actually exist as messages that temporarily live on the platform. There's a platform database that has these messages in them. So every few seconds, I think it's 5 to 15 seconds or so, either the atom or the molecule's head node is going to check for messages. And if it finds them, it's going to download them and it's going to put them in the /messages directory. Now, these are handled one at a time. They are single threaded, and that is important. One message can be handled at a time, and the order of operations, is important. It will handle them in the order it was received. So everything that I mentioned at the beginning are things that have to process through the messages directory. Test mode executions, manual execution requests, extension updates. There are others, but these are the ones we're primarily concerned with today. So if you notice it's slow, the most important thing to do, first thing you're going to want to do is to check the messages directory. So you're going to want to go to your Atoms install directory, message directory, and then the Atom ID is going to be the final subdirectory that we're going to look at. And you're going to see message files here. There's going to be one flat file that appears here per request. So every test mode request is going to appear here as a file. Every time you issue a manual request, it's going to appear here as a file. And for extensions, you might see a lot of files here because actually extension updates are a fairly busy thing, and we'll get into that in a second. So the behavior that you actually see in this directory is going to be your first step in figuring out what's going on and how to proceed. So if you're sending these requests and nothing is appearing, no messages are appearing there in that directory, you're going to want to investigate a network issue. That might mean that communication between the platform and the Atom could be broken. It seems at that point that either we're not able to get to the platform to request the messages, or the messages are not arriving at the head node or Atom. This next one is probably the most common one, honestly, that we see the most frequently. If you see tons and tons and tons of messages there, but they are being consumed, but there's a lot to chew through, that indicates that it's just a question of load. As I mentioned earlier, it's single threaded. It only handles these one at a time. So it has a huge backlog of messages and it takes a lot of time to process through it. So bear in mind that when you update extensions, all extensions that you have get checked. It's not just an update to if you made a change to a single field and you had 500 connections that are extended, they all have to go through the update process as it checks them all for updates. So highly recommend, if you need to make extension updates, make all of them and do one save. Definitely try not to be coming back and making multiple little saves. That's a common mistake that we see. Changing a field at a time, saving between each change, you can wind up really filling up that messages directory. And it can be time consuming to chew through all that if you're in a situation where you have a lot of extensions. Honestly, this middle point here, this is the one that really, most of the time, this is what we're looking at. Now, if messages are present, the last point you see here, but they're not actually being consumed, you're going to want to open a ticket with Boomi support. We're probably going to have to take some thread dumps, take a closer look at what's going on behind the scenes. Something else is happening. For some reason, it's not being processed by the Atom. And that's more of an investigation that we can get into in the span of just this video. But this is the first thing you're going to want to do. Do this first before opening a ticket with Boomi support, or you may be able to do this and get an idea of what's going on. You may be able to circumvent having to contact support at all. So really 3 main things that this could end up being, and hopefully this will help you figure out which direction you need to take that investigation. So thanks a lot, and we will see you in the next video.